Everyone's here. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight as we talk about therapists and travel and how you can combine both of them and create either a side gig, a business, or do it for your own enjoyment. And today, January is here, and she's going to focus more specifically on her certification that she has and how she utilizes that certification, as well as her PT background and all of her education and training and all of her CEUs to plan trips for herself and her family. She has a son who has autism, and she wants to do this for other families and help students or other therapists as well do this. And then Karen is here and will also touch base on OT, PT, and travel more in general. We'll touch a little base because I know we've had some more requests about the senior side of things, but we'll probably do a more specific live webinar coming up for that. But we can touch base on it a little bit here. And thank you guys, everyone who are on live, either on Facebook or on the webinar with us through Zoom. If you're on Facebook, please make sure you give us some love or put live in there. And I'll go back and forth to answer questions as much as we can. So Karen, I was thinking if you want to start and just give kind of a general overview and then introduce January, since you guys have known each other for a long time. And then after that, we can let January just talk about herself and what she's doing, and then we'll ask some more questions and so forth as we get going. So I'll be quiet and let you take over.
Sure, sounds great. Yeah, I was just thinking about it, January, and we're coming up on 40 years of knowing each other, which is amazing. Yeah, right. I mean, it's, obviously that's weird because we're like 30 years old, obviously. No, but anyway, so yeah, I'm Karen. I'm an occupational therapist, and I have recently gone full-time into travel and using my therapy skills to create some unique and interesting pathways for not only people with diverse abilities and special needs and medical complexities, but also for therapists and others. We have educators, we have, moms, we have photographers. I mean, I have a mishmash of people on my team. But lately it's been, I've been focusing a lot on sharing this with the therapy community, and obviously Kara plays into that quite a bit with her population. We've had a swell in our team because of her interest in developing this, and she sees the same possibilities as we do, and now so many others of you. So basically, in short, and we can talk more about this. I'm not going to take up a whole ton of time because I know some people have heard this many times, but the opportunity that we have as on the travel professional side is a two-part opportunity through a company called Planet Marketing and IntelliTravel. And so it's actually, IntelliTravel is a host agency. And so you can join the host agency as a travel agent. And through that, after you pay your fees and go through your training, then you're able to book travel for others and yourself. And there's a lot of perks that go along with that, such as some agent rates and discounts for yourself. And then of course, like for that, I like to say, like, I travel like it's the 1990s. Like I'm getting ready to go on a 10-day trip to work with my travel team, having a little bit of fun at Mardi Gras, New Orleans in the meantime. But like I booked a hotel room, in Louisiana for $87 a night for a Holiday Inn Express, which is normally $125. So that's just like one example. I'm like, yeah, I get 60s, 70s. I got $55, rooms pretty regularly. So there's a lot of perks there. And then there's certain sites that the more you book, the more you save and earn on your own travel. So beyond the discounts that they give you just for being an agent, you can actually, the more you book, the more you save and on your own personal travel. And probably the one that's best to talk about tonight is Disney. So I know that you go through Disney travel agents, you go through the College of Knowledge, which I have not done because I give all my Disney to January, because she has the kiddos and she's going to be talking more about that later. But and then the more you book, the more you save and you get discounts, and she can go over that. Probably she knows more about that, but that's kind of a good example. Also all inclusives in like the Caribbean and Mexico. The more you book through certain booking portals, they give you free nights, they give you, extra cash and perks, and you can even earn free flights down to for your own trip. So it gets pretty interesting pretty fast. And then the other side of the opportunity that we have is through Planet Marketing. It is basically, that's the opportunity to market and sell becoming a travel agent through IntelliTravel. So it's a little bit different than maybe some other companies people have joined before that have a team building side, because you have two separate companies, but they work together. So people who don't really want to get into the team building and all that kind of stuff, and who have, they just want to save on their own personal travel, maybe make a little extra side money, booking for friends and family, they can join as an agent only. You literally cannot, you cannot sign other people up under you unless you also, purchase this other side of this opportunity. So that is what January and now Kara and I all do, is that we are sponsors through Planet Marketing, and we are growing a team of therapists and other people. So that's it's kind of nice when you have someone that just wants to be on that side, that is more like their own customer and stuff like that. So that's in short kind of what we're doing here. And then really January was one of the first people to join my team back in May. Was it May that you actually joined too? I know that you were. Yeah. So she actually, we met up for lunch, and we were just kind of catching up because it had been a while. If you hadn't gotten by now, her and I grew up together. And we went all the way first grade through high school together, graduated in the same class. And then she went off to PT school, and I went to OT school, and we've stayed in contact over the years, because I have not lived back we're in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I recently moved back in 2020. So we started collaborating and talking about some therapy related things. And then she joined my team, and she knew about this autism travel on top of a lot of other things, which I'll let her get into. But anyways, we kind of started putting our heads together when she first joined my team as my first therapist, one of my first agents. And we were like, man, there's really so many ways that we could combine our passions, excuse me, and our skills for, between therapy and travel, and really create a world of freedom and access for people, regardless of their abilities, what they have going on, their medical status, whatever, we all know what we work in with those types of people. So, and then, we have this opportunity and this avenue for people to, become agents, become part of our team. So we have a growing team now of agents that are therapists as well. So it's pretty exciting. And, we're combining with educators and speech therapists as well. It's not just, there's, and parents too. This can be an opportunity for them to not only learn how to travel for less and in a better way, but like if you have a mom who has a son with autism, this might be a good opportunity for them. So it's really just, it's been a turnaround for me since joining. It's opened up this fun, adventurous new world. And a couple weeks ago, I left traditional settings altogether, have gone all in and my business has doubled since then. So it's pretty exciting where this is going. And it's, like I said, it's mostly therapists. So anyways, without further ado, I don't know what other kind of intro you want, Jan. Yes, she's an amazing, she has an amazing background in, not only her personal experiences with her son who has autism, he's 5 years old now, but she has also been a physical therapist she's worked with adults. Her dad was actually a PT in the Valley for many years. And so she followed in his footsteps, and you were at his clinic for a while, right? And then and then she was in school-based settings and is now working some early intervention. And she does really cool stuff with hippotherapy, equestrian, based therapy at a couple of different places that we have in town here. So that's a pretty big thing out here in horse and cow country. So I'll let you take it from there. I don't care if you have any specific where you want us to go from
No,
there.
I think if you could just describe a little bit about your journey and how you decided to combine your physical therapy degree with travel, and just tell us about your first vacation that you planned and about the certification that you have, that would be great.
So, well, thank you for that introduction. I've had kind of an interesting journey to get here. I've been in some kind of medical my whole life, with my dad being a PT and working summers in his clinic. And I wanted to be actually a neurosurgeon to start with, but realized that after looking into that more, a lot of your patients are trauma and a lot of your patients die. And that was not for me. I couldn't do that. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. So that was my first priority. So being a PT helped me help people and still be home with my kids and be a mom first. So that's kind of how I got into the PT. I've always loved kids. So I drifted more towards the pediatrics and have always had my foot in the door for early intervention. Finally got into the schools, worked in the schools for many years, and then recently left the schools to do early intervention. And I'm back with the littles, so I'm super excited. I do have 5 kids. They range from 22 to 5. So big age range. We've really had to diversify our vacations because of the big age gap, but it's made things very interesting. And I guess it's been about a year and a half. I had some changes in my health and decided that I needed more time with my kids. And about that time, after I got things kind of settled, Karen announced that she was a travel agent. And I said, perfect. I get to reunite with Karen. I get to have her help me plan a trip to Disney. And we're going to take the kids and go all out and spend some time at Disney. And that way I have more time with my kids. So we got to visiting, got to chatting, and I'm saying, well, I want to do this with them. I've always loved travel. I would love to get back to Italy. I would love to go to Australia and do all this stuff. And she's like, I would love to book your trip, but here's a different way to look at this. So she introduced me to being a travel agent and going this other route. And that, at first I was looking at it as, oh, I can get my kids discounted trips. We can do more trips on my budget since I'm a single mom and be able to afford more of these, spend more time with them. This is going to be great. And then I got to thinking about it some more. And as I was thinking about Disney and how we were going to make this work with my son and his sensory needs, and there's a lot that goes on at Disney. There's a lot of people. So we had to figure out, well, when is the least crowded time to go? When is the best time when we're not waiting in lines for hours and hours, when we're not getting beat by the sun because that wouldn't go well to have a hot, cranky little guy. You know, some of the rides I had to figure out, okay, what does this ride do? What are the sensory impacts? Space Mountain, oh my gosh, don't go on Space Mountain if you have a kid with autism. So just looking at the different sensory things, figuring those things out. And then I was thinking, of all the kids that I work with, how many of them have these opportunities as well? And then I was thinking, okay, there was a time I was doing a hippotherapy session and we were in the arena and we were doing things. Dad was standing at the fence watching, trying to be engaged and pay attention to what we're doing in the therapy session. And this little girl's brother, who was probably 4 or 5, was sitting on the sides, playing in the dirt. And, you know, the people that I work with at this horse ranch, we got to talking and we're like, how many times do siblings get pushed to the side or sit in waiting rooms while their siblings have therapy? How many times is it, I think about my daughter too, it's like, well, we want to go out to eat and go to a restaurant, but my little guy struggles with that. We can't take him. And they started to get resentful of, oh, it's his fault. We can't do this. Oh, we can't do this because of, you know, our little brother. And it got so, sorry, frustrating for me. I always get emotional when I talk about my kids, so I apologize. But how many other families are in this situation? So I want to use this opportunity and my knowledge as a PT to help these families go on vacation. And whether that's where we get a group of families that go on vacation and we go as an expert with them to be able to help them get on these excursions and these tours and these things beyond just being in your local areas. Can we provide some respite for the families so they can spend time with the other siblings? Can we go on a big vacation and bring an OT, bring a PT, bring a speech therapist, and we have this week-long vacation on a beach and the kids get an hour of therapy a day for a week while the other family members get respite, while they get time to build their relationships. Do you know how many divorces happen because of kids with disabilities in the families? It shouldn't happen. So this could give parents time to reconnect while we're helping do something fun with the whole family, with the kids, with the siblings, with everyone. So that really got me thinking and really got me focused on, this is something that we can do to help others enjoy travel. Because when you go on these family vacations, the name of my travel agent is Lasting Imprint Travel, because we're not just making memories, we are making memories that create an impact, an imprint in our lives and change us. So that's where I wanted to go. And so with Karen bringing me this opportunity, it was a no-brainer, not only for the personal discounts and the travel that I'm able to do with my kids on a single income, but also the impact I can make on other families and other kids through all of this. So that's a little bit about my journey and where I'm at. And I just there's so many opportunities for us as therapists, and to work in a clinic is fine. I did it for 12 years, but to be able to expand the world of these kids and these families to beyond their neighborhoods, beyond their current communities, to the whole world is just incredible. And I can't do it all by myself. So we need team members and we need other people who can help expand this world for all of these kids and all of these people with disabilities. And I know, Carrie, you came up, but I've just been researching all of these things, and found out that, Legoland is, by the end of March, will be a certified autism center. All of their North American locations will be certified autism centers. And it's just fantastic. And so by helping families get this knowledge, by helping families get to these places, we are just opening up their world so much. So that's kind of where I'm coming from and where I'm at, and just want to just expand this.
But
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting because like when Jan first joined, she had, I had been contacted by another local travel agent who had a connection with the Sandals rep. And I mean, you were like, I don't even think you had completed your training or anything like that. And I was like, let's, they want to meet for lunch. And then she was like, oh yeah, this will be awesome because Sandals Beaches Resorts. And I'm like, I didn't even know they had beaches resorts for families. Like all I knew of Sandals Resorts was, where rich people go to get married or like, spend time in love, but they have beaches, and you can talk more eloquently about it, but I'm sitting there getting schooled about this while we're at lunch when I'm like a month in and she's like 3 days in or something like that. Yeah, like a weekend. And I was also getting ready to leave for a travel assignment. I had accepted a travel assignment. So I was like, I left for a couple months and then but we just kept talking about it. So that's amazing. So I'm excited to hear about Legoland and then the Disney thing. And then I know Carrie, you were going to say something, but I want you to explain to them the Sandals opportunity with the beaches resorts and what they have going on there. Did you want to say anything, Kara? I'm sorry.
No, you can go ahead and explain the beaches thing. We'll do that first.
So the beaches resorts. So Sandals has two separate kind of companies. Sandals is adults only, kind of more the romantic and adults and honeymoon type thing. And then beaches is more for families. So it's a family resort, and they do partner with Sesame Street for that. So they have some Sesame Street characters that are there. One of the Sesame Street characters does have autism, and all of their kid camps and things, everyone who works in those are certified to work with autistic kiddos, so that they know how to react, they know how to respond, they know how to work with them, they know the sensory breaks that are needed. So they're really able to provide that care and supervision for the kids. They give them art projects, they do activities, they have bike rides, they do all kinds of stuff with these kiddos. And it gives mom and dad kind of that respite. It gives the other siblings a respite. It's not solely for autistic kiddos. They do welcome all kiddos, but because they have those certified staff members, it does make it a little bit easier for parents to leave their kiddos with them. And it's not as scary, because when you have a kiddo with autism, you're worried, well, are they going to have a meltdown? Are they going to hurt themselves? Are they going to hurt someone else? Are they going to be overwhelmed? All these things that could happen. And my mind just kind of spirals down. So at least that helps to give a little bit of peace of mind when you do go to a place like that to have a family vacation, that you can get some respite at things like that.
And I believe, Karen, you were talking about how you guys had talked about doing like a group vacation to beaches where you get a group of families, and then also take along students and so forth as well to provide even more services while you're there, so the parents can get more rest and relaxation, the kids can get therapy and activity and so forth while they're there. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the beginning stages of this because, when you're a therapist and a travel agent, you can book the family on their, just a solo trip with their family to a beaches resort, make some pretty crazy money. I'm talking like a couple of grand probably per family, depending on what you're doing, because Sandals pays really well for their commission, which we can talk more about. But then you have the opportunity, you get rewards from them too. So you have the opportunity to not have any extra charges for the family, but also have the therapist. And, you know, like with Jan has her family, I'm like the complete opposite. I have a fur baby and that's it. And I'm not, you know, like I'm single, no kids. So, but I would love to go down as a, you know, as a therapist that can just kind of be there. I mean, we're of course not calling it therapy because that gets into some hot water, but just to have your travel agent who is also a certified autism travel professional, who is also, you know, a therapist, you know, to just be there to help out with if they need extra things, or, you know, just doing extra programs for our families with their kiddos, without their kiddos. You know, the beaches resorts are great for anybody age. Like everything is included at a beaches and a Sandals resort. Your golf, your, you know, they have special meals. You know, you can get the gluten-free or vegetarian, vegan, whatever you need, which is also really helpful for, you know, our kids with autism, because they all are usually on pretty special diets. And so, you know, there's a lot of different ways that we could spend this, where we're, you know, having our own little special events, you know, and helping out as needed and just being present there with them. I think that would be, you know, really helpful. So we're in the beginning stages of that. And then, you know, as obviously, you know, it's just a fun opportunity for people to go down there too. And so there's 2 in Jamaica and 1 in Turks and Caicos. So we're looking at the one in one of the ones in Jamaica to do. We're probably going to do a small, like maybe take January and her family, and you know, and maybe like one other family and me, and we have our speech therapist, and maybe you just kind of do like a small trip at first and then see how it goes and make a plan from there. So I'm sure there would be a lot of interest on that as well. So super
And
fun.
and we'll talk more about it, but this is why we thought this is a perfect opportunity for therapists, because we can impact our clients and families way beyond traditional therapy. And a lot of therapists get stuck that traditional therapy is all there is. But, you know, just like January was saying earlier, we can make bigger impacts on families when we think more next level and think outside of the box. And, you know, being able to travel and get out there and develop those relationships and experiences is like one of the ultimate things that people really need to do. So, you know, we tend to focus on, you know, bathing and dressing and getting to school and getting in and out of the car and going out to eat. But, you know, but expanding this to actually getting out in the world and beyond is huge.
Yeah.
January, can you talk about your certification that you have?
So there is a certification that you can do. It's called the Certified Autism Travel Professional, CATP. It is through the board. It's a company that board certifies different professions. So it's not just travel professions, but they do various different certifications. So you go on, and it's good for 2 years. There's some training. You go through a couple, kind of like the CEUs that we are used to doing. And then they have quizzes at the end to make sure that you know what you're talking about and the topics. And then after you do the class, do the education, do the testing, and then you submit that to the board with an application, and they review it and either approve it or deny it based on test scores, the application, all of that stuff. So then we just have 2 years to come back with that, or to recertify. So you recertify every 2 years.
And you do have to be a travel professional to, so you have to be a travel agent to take it. So if you just wanted to do it as a therapist, it's specifically for travel professionals. With that, being said, it's pretty basic for us. Like it's a good review and a good to have some specifics, but I'm going through it right now, and it's pretty, I mean, it's good to like think of a few things, but if you're a therapist and a travel agent, it's pretty basic. It is one thing because it's by a third party certifying body. So it does actually cost. We have a coupon that we can, or like a promo code that we can get you half off. So it's $75 for 2 years. But that's kind of out of the norm. I think that's actually the first training I've paid for in the travel world, because the vendors and the people that the travel suppliers that you get registered with are actually, they provide you training for free, and then they give you free cruises or free trips, or, like sometimes, like I think there's 3 different companies that once you complete their training, which is free, they give you a free cruise. You just pay taxes and fees. So it's pretty cool.
And technically, would you say that, I mean, really as therapy professionals, especially those of you that work with pediatrics or that specialize working with kiddos with autism and families, you really wouldn't need this certification because you probably have the skills already. And if you combine it with the travel side of things and work with a team like Karen in January, you would really be able to do all of that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think it's pretty, it's nice to put on a resume. That's kind of why we do a lot of certifications, right? But
Right.
it's certainly not necessarily when you're first getting started, any of that kind of thing. And Amy, I will get that coupon code. I'll put it inside of our group of existing therapy travel agents, so that no one's confused on what else you need to do that's maybe not part of our team yet.
Do you know how long it takes to complete that certification?
The longest part was clicking through the slides. So literally it takes, I think I did it in like an hour, and that's because I was interrupted by my 5-year-old and my 16-year-old and the dog wanting to go out. So it's really a pretty quick, so as therapists, you can really go through it quickly because it's information that we really know. But if you don't know anything about autism, it will take you a little bit longer to do it.
Yeah.
We have a question coming from Facebook and pertains to what we've been talking about. Is there special liability to be present for a family and assist them with childcare, etc., like during a vacation? Like if you would go with families to like the beaches or somewhere?
I think it depends on the capacity that you're going with them, and you can do a release of liability contract with them, which says I'm going as a participant and, helping to give advice, but I'm not technically providing therapy.
Yeah, that's exactly. I have a little, like on a JOT form or something, I just say, I'm a therapist and I'm certified and licensed in this area, but that's not what we're doing here, not technically, because it's outside of my licensing body and I'm not taking money for it. So I've done volunteer trips I'm not doing reimbursement. There's no therapy changing hands. It's just like, it's hanging out with other families and people who have, who are also there, so, yeah, so it's an easy thing that, yes, I'll share that. I need to actually update it to be more specifically about travel and this kind of thing, but I will get that going. And please.
And another thing you could do is, like if you have a side business or a business where you're focusing on this, you could look at having travel companions that might go along with families to something like this. It might not necessarily be yourself. I mean, the thing is there's so many people doing stuff like this that don't have the education or experience that therapists do. So by having therapists who are there and can train travel companions or, to go with people. Plus, if you think about maybe one family doesn't need a companion to themselves, but if there's a time where 2 or 3, 4 families go and a companion can help all of them, it could save on expenses as well with that.
Yes, like getting a group rate and stuff like that. So we're going as a group. We are the travel advisors that are just happen to be there also, in some ways, if you want to just look at it really, really basically. And, I think that Jan touched on something earlier that was, saying that, you have to take a look at the whole family and not just the kid. And I think that for a while, that was kind of how we did. We kept throwing services at the child, which really ended up, I think, in a lot of cases, stressing out the family more because they were having to go to 3, 4, 5, it's like 6, 7 appointments a week that are either in person or on telehealth. And what are you going to do with the other kids? And so that's something that I think Moon Farm is working on too, is involving the whole family, and that you're doing out there with the equestrian and the hippotherapy. And then I think that's something that we definitely, in my PPOTD program, we talked about, family co-occupation and those types of things. And it's like, I never really thought about it that way, but the OT, and I think all the rehab professions are moving towards caregiver support and, training and what's the word you used, January, starts with an R, respite, care for the caregiver, that kind of thing. So I think we could go a lot of different ways that we're having therapy flavored travel without necessarily having to worry about our licenses. And it's a simple liability. I've done health consulting and different things for years that I don't call OT simply for the fact that it complicates things. And it's not technically what I'm doing. I'm not providing OT services that I'm billing for and stuff like that. So
We have a question if you guys are familiar with Autism on the Seas.
So that's where they take cruise lines and do special cruises with kids who have autism in their families. So there are some programs out there that exist currently where they do special cruises and things.
So the great thing about cruise lines is that we can create something like that ourselves pretty easily, and reserve a certain number of cabins and have that just be a thing that we do. I've done seminars at sea. I've helped plan them before previously for other things that were like when I was working in wellness at a hospital and stuff like that. So it's kind of like Con Ed or stuff, but you could definitely do where you could have everybody. You could have therapists, you could have teachers, SPED, you could have everybody just coming there to have fun, and the kiddos and their families and stuff too, and have some organized activities, but also like have pre-plan, all that kind of stuff. And what's great is when you're getting the commission off of that once again, but that's like I think it's every 8th cabin is free. So if you book 7 cabins as an agent, that you can get a room for you and your family, or a cabin, I should say, for free, and just pay taxes and fees or whatever the case may be. So that's another definite way to go, especially when cruising is rebounding so much this year. I think that's something that we'll definitely get into as well.
January, can you talk a little bit about your trip that you did plan, and what you feel that using your skills as a therapist and as a travel agent, combining those, that really made a difference for your family?
Well, I think about comparing it to when I went with my older kids before. We just went go, 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 from sun up to sundown, and even beyond that. And with my little guy, we were not going to be able to do that, not just because he was little, because he was 5. He had just turned 5. It was just after his 5th birthday. And so we had to look at, okay, he's going to get overwhelmed. He's going to get overloaded. So we made sure we had some of his blanket with him, and we had a plan for a quiet getaway. So we found, what was the Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer. the island. So there's some quiet places and it's not real busy. So we found a way to get over there before he started to have these meltdowns from being too overwhelmed with the people and the noises and things. So knowing the layout of Disneyland and where things were and what each different section, the Tomorrowland and space, Star Wars and different things like that, I had a plan of where we could go when he was getting too overwhelmed. So we had some quiet places already planned out, ways to get there. They have a little boat that goes around the island as well. So that was a way that we could get out. He loves pirate ships. So not only did we have a quiet escape away from everyone where we could sit back and just kind of refocus and regenerate his energy type of thing, but we also focused on one of his passions. So he loved the pirate ship. So we were able to use that, which helped to, when he was starting to get a little bit anxious over by the trains, okay, let's go. And we were able to do that. We also made sure that, snacks, because he's a very picky eater. There's lots of things that he won't eat there. So we made sure that we had foods that he would eat that came with us. They have lots of sugary treats. Knowing how he responds to sugar, we also avoided some of those because that would really get him bouncing off the walls. And we have some really fun meltdowns when he gets too much sugar. So those kinds of things. Looking at the rides. So we know Space Mountain, it's in the dark. It's got a lot of flashing lights. It has fast movement. Lots of drops, things like that. So I knew his little sensory system was not going to handle that ride at all. Knowing what kind of sensory seeking behaviors he has, he does not like the ups and downs, but he can handle the side to sides really well. So some of those roller coasters and things, yes, he's tall enough, but lots of up and downs. However, if you go on like the Toads ride, it has the side to side, the start and stop. So he could handle that. The web slinger ride, he loves Spider-Man, and that has your side to side. So he could handle that. It doesn't have the sudden drops where he feels like his tummy is gonna go. The Ferris wheel, everyone loves the Ferris wheel and you can see so much from the top. But some of those cages actually rock and move. So you get that sudden drop and scary swing. So knowing, we can't go on that cage, we have to go on the other cage. So knowing kind of what the different sensory inputs are for each of the rides is really important. Then you know which ones to go on, which ones to avoid. If I would have taken him on Space Mountain in the beginning, there's no way he would have done anything else the other 4 days we were there. So
I mean, just from listening to you talk about this, it's like, and everyone can comment or whatever, but it's totally like, we need to send everyone to you that wants to go to Disneyland because you can sit down with them, or even collaborate with their therapist, but really learn about them. What are their needs? Do the sensory tools, assessments, sensory profile, and then do the activity analysis and help them plan out what you could or couldn't do. There's so much that could be done and how you could really help. Because I would have no idea whatsoever. And I would think, and obviously you're a therapist and have been doing this forever, but I'm guessing not many families could do that on their own with what you did with planning that all out.
Well, I think there are little things too that you don't think about with the rides that impact them a little bit differently. There's one that, well, if you think about the Indiana Jones ride, it's not too much of your up and down. It's a lot of the start and stop, but in some places they actually blow puffs of air in towards you and towards your face. Well, you do that to an autistic kiddo that's unexpected, that has an aversion to some of those things, and the rest of the ride is a nightmare for everyone that's on the ride on that car. So, and a lot of these kiddos, they remember, they have such good memories. And once you do something like that, to get them to try something new or do something again, you've lost your chance, if not for that, the rest of that day, for the rest of the time that you're there. So really looking at these different rides and what to expect during them is important, because you don't know if someone doesn't like to be touched, you're not going to walk through the haunted house, because you end up in these little tiny elevators that move you about, and you're bumping into people and they pack you into there. Well, how well is that going to go when you don't want to be touched and you don't like people in your bubble? You know, so little things like that. It really, to know the rides, to know what you're going towards, to know how to, or if I don't know all the rides, you know, talking to the parents and making sure that they know what kinds of things to look for when they get to the front of these lines. Or Disney also has a program there. If you have a disability, they fast track you, so you're not standing in lines for hours. So there's ways to access some of those other features. So that, right, and Sarah says you can get extra fast passes. Well, when you go as a group or as a family, everyone in your family gets those fast passes and things, so that you're not leaving part of your family behind as you go towards the front in those lightning lanes.
I think Disney needs to hire you to evaluate each ride and what motions and how this impacts this kind. I mean,
Yeah, no, seriously.
there's
I
the
mean,
need right there.
because I think
Free
there's
tickets.
just so
Yeah.
much, there's so much avoidance that families, you know, like January was talking to me the other night, and I was saying, because we really need to get the word out about how specialized you are and how we have this opportunity to educate others and have them come on our team, or, you know, families, you know, to travel with your knowledge and skill set, and, you know, just combining the knowledge of autism with your PT knowledge plus your travel advisor knowledge. And she said, yeah, I was in there, you know, I was in one of these parent support groups for, you know, who have children with autism. And this lady was commenting about how they had booked a trip to Hawaii, and they had booked their son on the trip, but that had autism, and they were just going to cancel the trip because they were too freaked out about the meltdowns and the flight, and they just like were, you know, and I think that's what happens a lot, is they just choose not to go. And we've talked to a couple people that January knows personally that have kiddos with various different you know, differing abilities and different things going on. They're just like, we just can't see it. I can't see how this would be possible or fun or anything like that. I can't see how we can travel and have it be something other than just like one massive disaster. So there's so much need, I think, you know, across the board, not just with autism. It's certainly a great place to start. I mean, we could all have full-time businesses. You know?
Well, that's just it. I mean, and there's all different levels. Like, you see Raina's on here. She does, you know, focuses on online courses and so forth, but literally creating an online product for families where they can download everything about all the different rides and how this impacts us. I mean, the sky's the limit with all the different things that you can actually do with this. And there's such a huge need for it. I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone that's on here, just think for a moment and write down an idea you think you could do with this. I mean, I could think of like, I mean, and this is part of my problem, and what gets me in lots of trouble is I can just think of way too many things that we can do and start and so forth. So if you guys have ideas either on Facebook or here, pop down some of your ideas that you have. But that's why, I mean, I think that's the big reason why as soon as Karen and I connected, I'm like, we need to start this just for therapists, or not just for therapists, we have others, but to bring therapists together. So in our community that we're creating, it's all therapists, and then everyone, we each have the different areas that they want to work with. So we're helping each other build, whether it be programs or whether it be businesses or things like that, where you have that support system to help each other and guide through this. And this is, just in the last couple of weeks, the teams have skyrocketed how many therapists are wanting to do this. Sarah said, I help many of her families plan flying with their kids, and there's lots of prep involved. Yeah, every single step of the way, there's so much involved. You could have a online course about how to fly. There's so many things you can do. So sky's kind of the limit there. If you have other ideas, type them in. We have a question, and I want to make sure, Sarah, I answer this, because you asked who does the training, what makes them professionals to train. And I don't know if you were talking about that to become the certified autism travel training program, or just the travel part in general. Let me know what you were asking on that, because so really, like what we have going on now for people that are interested in doing this, we have a generic community for therapists that just want to learn more about the travel piece. And then when therapists are ready to take the step, we have a group for therapists that are becoming travel professionals, AKA travel agents. But that allows them to, it just opens up the world for so many opportunities in the travel world. And it's really, honestly, a low cost investment to build a business on. And the training portion of to become a travel agent is pretty basic and easy. But the cool thing is Karen, and then her sponsor, Sarah, who's the director now, she does multiple trainings a week. I swear she's always doing trainings. So she's doing tons of trainings. And then our goal is that as we continue to grow, we do more specific trainings. Like obviously January is going to be great to help train other therapists in how to, specialize in helping families with autism. And we have a group of therapists that are focusing on older adults and so forth. So we have a lot coming. So there is a lot of training, but a lot of it's in development, and there's lots of ways you can go with it. So let me know, Sarah, if you have other things that I missed on that.
And I think it's important to talk briefly about the legacy part of building the business, on team building. And I know this is something important. Sarah actually just hit this level, which is called 1-star director on the Planet marketing side, which means that she has at least 100 agents on her team. She's now closer to 150, thanks to many of these therapists that have joined recently. Like the momentum has hit, and it's just amazing. So but at that point, she was able to, when she hit that point where she has at least 100 agents on her team, she's getting a minimum monthly income just from that, just because she's at that level, which continues to grow as you continue to advance. But she also willed the business to her children, or to her husband and her son. So, when I get to that point, I can will it to, I don't know, my dog or whatever, but also, January can know that she's building a business, her PT business, or her PT job, she can't will that to her kids. She can will this business to her kids. In case that something happens, they will get a paycheck. It will continue, she has agents that are direct to her. She makes an override on that. And so once she hits that 100 mark, she will be able to will this business onto her children. So it's a pretty special thing that you can't do with retirement, military retirement or anything like that. And I don't know a lot of other businesses where you can, and it'll keep paying your family even after you're gone.
So Sarah, thank you for clarifying. so we'll probably come back to more on that, Karen, but Sarah was wondering, when you did the autism certification training, who were the people that were actually providing that training?
So that was the IBCCES. So it's the International Board Certifying, I don't remember.
Yeah,
So it's by, I think it's, as therapists, it doesn't necessarily help us other than saying, okay, we have this certification. And I think it gives more meat to the general public, because then they can go and say, yes, you know a little bit about autism, you can help me. So if it was just a travel agent and they didn't have the therapist or the therapy background, that gives them, hey, this person knows a little bit about autism and I can go to them. But
Did they have the trainers that you had? Were they, I mean, I'm guessing, Sarah, you would, you know, with what you're doing, what January's doing, you guys would probably make great trainers for this certification.
yes,
So they they might not have as level of education that you guys may have in it. Is that what I'm kind of guessing, maybe?
yes. So the training itself, it's pretty much just a couple videos that you watch and slideshow presentation, and then you answer some questions, and that's your training. So it's nothing like the CEUs that we do as therapists, as far as in-depth and specializing. It's really just kind of basic knowledge in autism for the travel professional.
So another thing that January or Sarah or someone could do, you guys could develop a certification program and really making this awesome certification program. So that's like with Sue and I with, well, mostly Sue, but with the home mod certification that we created, it's specifically for therapists, because if you look out there at all of these home modification certifications, I mean, my son could take it. You know, anyone could take these certifications. They're not designed just for therapy professionals. And so think about how awesome it'd be to create this certification for people to do this, or just a CEU or whatever too. It doesn't need to be a certification. We don't need certifications to do what we're doing, everyone. So
yeah.
Amy asked, do you charge a fee for your specialized services or just commission?
You can do it either way. It goes case by case. Sometimes what I will do, depending on the situation, this isn't just for special needs travel, because I book anything. We all do. We book anything for anyone. So, and this is more of a niche, definitely a niche area. But so some people charge like an extra fee. I would say definitely if you're in a companion situation, or like what I plan to develop is like a concierge, where people like maybe like 6 or 7, or, or 6 or 8, 4 couples or something want to go, they're older and they want to go on a, on a trip to Europe, and have me plan it all. And I kind of did this before. I kind of did a test run with my dad and my bonus mom, and we went to Europe, and it was just like, I would definitely charge an extra fee because I went with them. And so to pay for my way, plus, you use certain vendors where you can get a better commission, and, so you can maximize it a lot of different ways. And then some people also just charge research fees, because like any kind of agent that works on commission, you don't get paid until they actually do take the trip, right? So until then, you might do, like when I first started, I was doing sometimes 5-6 hours of, staying up late, had to go to work the next day, doing 5 to 6 hours of research. And then they were like, oh, we decided, like I did all this work for a destination wedding, and then they were like, oh, we decided to do something local. And I was like, probably should have got something in writing just to charge, even if it's just a small fee that gets rolled in. So different people do it different ways, but like, yeah, if it's just a quick little, I want to go to Cancun for 4 days with my husband or whatever, I just run it quick. I can do that in 5 minutes and stuff. But if it's a more like, I want a 2-week trip to Hawaii where we go to 3 different islands and we want to do this, and that's going to be a lot more intensive. So, you know, it's, it kind of goes case by case. And, you know, like a sandals commission is super high. So I'm not going to charge people a lot to, you know, do extra kind of stuff. But so, yeah, it kind of goes case by case.
And Amy, like, just to add on top of that, for like what January's doing and what she could do with families, again, we often undervalue what we are doing, and for her to be able to set up and create an actual plan and help families with that, I mean, that is so valuable. So yes, 100%, I would be charging for that service. I know we all want to give away and do everything for people and so forth, but we also have to value our time and so forth. And there's different ways to do it, but I would say yes, for sure. So
yeah.
So it's been an hour, so I want to honor January and Karen's time. So we will not discuss the senior travel companion and the other. I mean, we have a list of like a million things that you can do with the travel agent side of things. So we will be doing other webinars on individual topics. We did have a question that I still need to answer. Lindsay asked, like, how long is the training? I was looking into becoming a travel agent a couple of weeks ago, and what I was finding was about a year long. Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing. Literally, it doesn't take long at all. I mean, I'm not going to share publicly how long it took me, but it doesn't take that long. There's a set of trainings you need to do, a test you need to pass. But the cool thing is Karen and Sarah have really done a lot of the hard work and have a lot of things systematized, so we can just go and kind of do boom, 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 and you don't have to do everything at once either. So,
and that was probably because I've looked into it before as well. And it was like, you have to take this year-long course, and then you have to have $10,000 or $15,000 up front to buy your own franchise of like an American Express Travel or Central Travel or something like that, or Travel Central, or one of those franchises. And then it's several hundred. I actually talked to a guy locally here who does it. And it's several $100s a month for the CRM and the fees and the insurance and all that kind of stuff. This is different because it's partnering with a host agency. So they already have that set up, and your startup fees, I mean, it's $180 to start as a host agency travel agent, but you are an independent travel agent. You go through some pretty basic training that might take you a couple, you know, depending on how much time you have to. I just tell people, just get through it, you know, and then you're ready. Don't start telling people before you've gotten the training, you know, just like anything, because people will start to ask you questions and have you booking travel and blah, blah, blah for them. So it's for that side of the business. And then if you want to join on the other side, on the Planet Marketing side, it's only $20 extra to start. And then, you know, your monthly fees are $40 a month to have that coveted IATA number that gets you all into the backsides in the secret world of travel. And then you have, you know, like if it's $40 a month, I saved that with, you know, like one night in a hotel with an agent rate. And then you have, and it's an extra $20 a month. So for two, for the Planet Marketing site. So for two businesses where you can grow a team, book travel, unlimited income on both sides, as you build, it's $200 to start, one time only fee, and then $60 a month. So you are probably looking at one of those other opportunities, and you know, it's really that easy. And
my brain needs everything written down. So I created a chart that explains everything step by step, and to show you what your investment would be and what it would cost you. You're really not going to be able to start a business as cheap as what this allows you to do. I mean, we do have a lot of people that are literally just doing the travel agent side for themselves because they love to travel and they want to travel. I mean, like So my friend down the street loves to travel, loves to plan travel. Like, I'm like, Dylan, you need to do this. And he's like, yeah, I do. So, I mean, he jumped on just to save on family travel. So you don't have to use this for therapy. We just think this is such a great fit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we,
So people are unpaid travel agents. And we just, like I was an unpaid travel agent for most of my life. I lived in Italy for 2.5 years and I traveled to 24 different European countries while I was there. Think of the thousands I could have saved. I'm like, why has no one ever told me about this? So
exactly. Kathy, I'd say, so Kathy has a great question. Can anyone suggest a ballpark of how much an OT or PT could bring in on a monthly basis doing this? And this is going to be a crappy answer, but it really depends on, there's a million ways you could utilize this. So it would depend on how you want to utilize it. I mean, and what kind of practice you want to use, how you're going to price it, where you're going to go in to it. So
yeah.
you could create, like I was talking about with January, she could create something online that's for families that she could create and people could purchase, and it wouldn't really involve her. Or she could focus on one-on-one time and charge families money for that. So it really depends on how you're going to set it up. I would say if you can, again, we don't pressure anyone because we're just providing ideas for therapists to think about. Just join our groups. I'll send out the links and post them. Join the therapist group. We have all the information on what you need to do, how you need to do it, and ask questions there, and we'll try to help you provide more of those questions or answers to those questions. So, okay, I think we got through everyone's questions. If you, again, you know where to find us. Karen's going on vacation. When she gets back, we're gonna do another one. That's life of a travel agent. She can travel all the time.
Yep.
So, but
Actually,
join
my
us.
business, my business grows faster because I just post pictures of myself having fun on vacation, and Sarah and my team cover for me, and I make money. I've ranked up every time I've gone on vacation practically. So it's fun. This is the easiest thing most fun thing I've ever done. So
awesome. Well, thank you, January, for sharing. I think, again, you sharing how this can impact family and kids more than anyone could ever believe, and showing us how it impacted your family. I just really appreciate you sharing your perspective and how much it's impacted you. And I'm so excited to watch what all you end up doing. So thank you, Karen. You have a blast on vacation, and we'll talk to you all later. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
thanks.